If you're enjoying this story, subscribe to Satoshi's Lullaby. New episodes every day. Now, let's continue. Close your eyes. Picture Cabanatuan City, nestled in the heart of the Philippines. It is 2021, a year marked by uncertainty and adaptation. The sun begins to set over the bustling streets as a young man sits in a modest, dimly lit room, his eyes fixed on the glow of his smartphone screen. Here he plays a game not just for entertainment, but as a vital source of income. This is Axie Infinity, a digital realm where players battle fantastical creatures called Axies. But beyond the whimsy lies a serious economic engine. Every day, this young man engages in virtual battles, his fingers dancing across the screen. Each victory brings tokens, Smooth Love Potion, or SLP, and Axie Infinity Shards, or AXS, which are as real as any currency he might hold in his hands. Imagine the impact of this concept, a game that allows its players to earn a living wage. In the Philippines, where the minimum wage hovers around to $12 per day, this digital opportunity turns into a lifeline. For the young man and thousands like him across the islands, Axie Infinity is not just a pastime, but a means of survival, a chance to earn more than many traditional jobs offer. The game, developed by Sky Mavis in 2018, quickly found its stride in the midst of a global pandemic. As COVID-19 spread and traditional job markets faltered, Axie Infinity provided an unexpected refuge. It was more than a game. It was a new frontier in the digital economy. Players could earn tokens that translated into real money, bridging the gap between virtual achievements and tangible rewards. In the bustling cities and the quiet countryside, players formed communities. They came together, sharing strategies and lending support. Central to this ecosystem were the scholarships, arrangements that allowed newcomers to borrow Axies from more seasoned players or investors. In return, these new players would share a portion of their earnings. It was a collaboration built on trust, fostering a sense of unity among participants who might never meet face to face. Axie Infinity's story is intertwined with the rise of non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, which gained mainstream attention in early 2021. These unique digital assets propelled the game's visibility to new heights, inviting players and investors into a burgeoning digital gold rush. Yet, as with any revolution, questions and challenges emerged. How sustainable was this model? Could it withstand the criticisms that likened it to a Ponzi scheme, reliant on the continuous influx of new players? The stakes were high, not just for the game's developers, but for the individuals whose livelihoods had become entwined with this digital world. In Cabanatuan City, the young man continued his nightly battles, acutely aware that his efforts transcended virtual realms. Each token earned represented a tangible improvement in his quality of life, a testament to resilience in uncertain times. As Axie Infinity grew in popularity, organizations like Yield Guild Games saw potential. They invested millions, not just in the game itself, but in the players who were its lifeblood. This investment was a gamble, a belief in the future of blockchain gaming and the power of digital economies. It was a vision that, for some, seemed both revolutionary and precarious. The game's peak brought both triumph and tribulation. As more players flocked to its vibrant world, the pressures of scalability and market saturation loomed large. Yet amidst these challenges, there remained a steadfast belief in the transformative power of such a platform. Axie Infinity was not just a game, it was a beacon of hope for many, lighting the way through the dark uncertainty of a global pandemic. Today, we delve into this remarkable story, exploring how a simple game transformed lives and reshaped economic landscapes. The journey of Axie Infinity is one of innovation, community, and the relentless spirit of those seeking a better future. As we begin our exploration, we invite you to join us in uncovering the intricate layers of this digital revolution. Welcome to a world where play meets possibility, where the boundaries of the virtual and the real blur into a new economic frontier. And so the tale begins in a small room in Cabanatuan City, with the quiet hum of technology and the promise of something extraordinary. Ready for Chapter 1? Ready for Chapter 1? In 2018, a small startup named Sky Mavis planted the seeds for what would become a global phenomenon. They introduced Axie Infinity, a game blending digital innovation with the emerging blockchain technology. This was a bold step into uncharted territory. The game centered around fantastical creatures called Axies, which were not just characters but digital assets secured on the Ethereum blockchain. To understand the significance of Axie Infinity, we first need to explore its core mechanics. Each Axie is a unique non-fungible token, or NFT, that can be bred, battled, and traded. Players collect these creatures, each possessing distinctive traits and abilities, and engage in battles within a vibrant online universe. Winning battles rewards players with Smooth Love Potion (SLP) tokens, which have real-world value. The game was not just about entertainment. It introduced a revolutionary economic model, known as play-to-earn. This model allowed players to make money by simply playing the game. This concept was both innovative and timely, aligning perfectly with the growing interest in cryptocurrency and digital ownership. With the launch of Axie Infinity, Sky Mavis opened new doors to digital entrepreneurship. For some players, the concept of play-to-earn was life-changing. To illustrate this, we traveled to the Philippines, where the game gained unexpected popularity during the COVID-19 pandemic. As traditional job markets collapsed, Axie Infinity emerged as a lifeline. The ability to earn a living wage through gaming became a beacon of hope during challenging times. In the Philippines, the minimum wage ranges from $10 to $12 per day. Many were struggling to make ends meet as lockdowns disrupted livelihoods. In this context, Axie Infinity provided an alternative source of income that was both accessible and flexible. It was not just a game, it was a new form of work. This transformation was profound, impacting thousands of lives across the archipelago. The story of Axie Infinity is also a story of community and collaboration. Sky Mavis fostered a vibrant ecosystem where players connected, strategized, and supported one another. Online forums and social media groups became hubs of activity, with players sharing tips and forming alliances. This sense of community was crucial in the game's growth and sustainability. The economic model of Axie Infinity hinged on two vital tokens, SLP and Axie Infinity Shards, AXS. SLPs were earned through gameplay, while AXS functioned as the governance token, allowing holders to influence the future of the game. This dual token system added layers of engagement and investment opportunities for players. It was a dynamic economy within a digital world. Axie Infinity was more than a game, it was an evolving digital economy. As players amassed SLPs and AXS, they could trade these tokens on various cryptocurrency exchanges. The value of these tokens fluctuated, reflecting market dynamics and player activities. This economic dimension was a draw for both players and investors, sparking broader interest in blockchain gaming. Importantly, the game was also a precursor to the NFT boom. In early 2021, as NFTs gained mainstream attention, Axie Infinity's profile soared. Players saw their digital assets appreciate in value, contributing to a digital gold rush. This was a pivotal moment in both the game's history and the broader landscape of digital ownership. Yet, the rapid rise of Axie Infinity was not without challenges. Some critics likened its economic model to a Ponzi scheme, questioning the sustainability of its reliance on new player influx. Despite these critiques, the community largely rallied around the game, confident in its potential to evolve and adapt. This resilience would be tested in the chapters to come, as we will explore the intricacies of its growth and the hurdles it faced. Sky Mavis's vision was to create more than just a game. They aimed to pioneer a new digital economy. As the game gained popularity, the company secured investments to fuel its expansion. Yield Guild Games, a decentralized gaming collective, played a significant role by raising millions to fund NFTs for players, further expanding access to the game. These investments were a testament to the growing belief in Axie Infinity's potential. The impact of Axie Infinity was profound, particularly in regions like the Philippines, where economic opportunities were scarce. It demonstrated the power of technology to create new forms of income and reshape the way people work and play. This paradigm shift was not lost on the global gaming community, which watched closely as Axie Infinity broke new ground. In exploring the foundations of Axie Infinity, we see a tapestry woven from innovation, community, and economic transformation. It is a story rooted in human resilience, where digital worlds offered real-world solutions. As we conclude this chapter, we stand at the cusp of understanding the broader implications of this play-to-earn revolution. This chapter has set the stage for a deeper dive into the ripple effects of Axie Infinity. We will journey further into its economic impact, especially in the Philippines, where it became more than just a game. In our next chapter, A New Economic Model, we will explore how Axie Infinity offered a lifeline to many during the pandemic, transforming the way people think about work and play in the digital age. Stay with us as we continue this exploration of innovation and change. Stay with us as we continue this exploration of innovation and change. In this chapter, we delve into the emergence of a new economic model, one that would become a lifeline for many during a time of unprecedented global upheaval. As the COVID-19 pandemic spread across the world in early 2020, economies were brought to a standstill. In the Philippines, where the minimum wage hovered between $10 to $12 per day, the impacts were especially severe. Businesses shuttered, and countless individuals found themselves without a stable source of income. It was against this backdrop that Axie Infinity began to capture the imaginations of those who saw it as more than just a game. Axie Infinity was developed by Sky Mavis in 2018, initially as a niche intersection of gaming and blockchain technology. However, in the pandemic's wake, it offered a new promise, the ability to earn a living through play. Players could earn tokens called Smooth Love Potion, SLP, and Axie Infinity Shards, AXS, which could be traded for real-world money. This was a radical departure from conventional gaming models that centered purely on entertainment and competition. For many Filipinos, this digital world offered an opportunity not only for financial relief, but also for community and connection in an isolating time. The play-to-earn model transformed the lives of individuals like Jeff Ordiales, a young father from Cabanatuan City. Laid off from his job in early 2020, Jeff stumbled upon Axie Infinity through a friend. Within weeks, he found himself earning more through the game than he had in his previous employment. His story is not unique. Thousands of others across the Philippines began to follow a similar path, drawn by the prospect of earning a steady income while engaging in a virtual community. As word spread, Axie Infinity's player base grew exponentially. Traditional job markets were struggling, but this digital economy was thriving. The rise of Axie Infinity in the Philippines was not merely a story about technology or economics. It was also a deeply human narrative of resilience. Families who faced financial ruin were able to not only survive, but in some cases, improve their quality of life. This is exemplified by the experience of Alyssa Cruz, a single mother of two from Manila. Before Axie, Alyssa worked long hours in a factory, barely making ends meet. She took a leap of faith and invested her savings into purchasing her first Axies. Within months, her earnings multiplied, and for the first time, she could afford to send her children to school without worry. The economic impact of Axie Infinity went beyond individual stories. Entire communities were engaging with the game, and small local economies began to form around it. Sari-sari stores, the small neighborhood shops ubiquitous in the Philippines, adapted to this new economy by accepting SLP tokens as currency. It was a remarkable shift, one that underscored the adaptability and resourcefulness of people in trying times. This play-to-earn model sparked conversations around the world about the future of work and the role of digital economies, particularly in developing countries. Traditional jobs were no longer the sole pathway to financial security. The Axie phenomenon prompted economists and policymakers to reconsider assumptions about employment and income inequality. Could this model be replicated elsewhere? Would it remain sustainable as more players joined? Despite the optimism, there were also emerging challenges. Critics compared the model to a Ponzi scheme, questioning its reliance on a continuous influx of new players for sustainability. Concerns were raised about the volatility of cryptocurrency markets and the potential risks for players heavily invested in this nascent economy. As Axie Infinity's popularity surged, so did scrutiny of its underlying economic model. The game developers, Sky Mavis, found themselves navigating an increasingly complex landscape, balancing growth with the need for transparency and stability. However, for the players in the Philippines, the immediate benefits outweighed the potential risks. The ability to earn from home, to provide for their families in a time of uncertainty, was a powerful motivator. As the community grew, so did the infrastructure supporting it. Player-run initiatives, such as scholarships, allowed newcomers to enter the game without the high upfront costs of purchasing Axies. These scholarships involved experienced players lending their assets to others, taking a percentage of the earnings in return. It was a system based on trust and mutual benefit, further strengthening the bonds within the community. By early 2021, Axie Infinity had become a cornerstone of the digital economy in the Philippines. Players reported earnings that exceeded traditional salaries, and many were able to invest in real-world assets like property and education. The game served as a case study in how digital platforms could create new economic opportunities, particularly in regions where traditional employment options were limited. In cities like Cebu and Davao, internet cafes transformed into hubs for Axie players. These cafes, once filled with competitive gamers, were now spots where players gathered to strategize and share tips. The social aspect of the game became an unexpected boon in a time when physical gatherings were restricted. Families and friends would play together, finding solace and solidarity in their shared digital pursuits. The rise of Axie Infinity highlighted the potential for blockchain technology to democratize access to economic opportunities. It demonstrated how non-fungible tokens, NFTs, could be more than art or collectibles. They could be tools for empowerment and change. As this digital revolution unfolded, it raised important questions about the future of work, community, and technology in our increasingly interconnected world. As we conclude this chapter, we stand at a crossroads, witnessing the profound impact of a game that became so much more than entertainment. In the next chapter, we will explore the communities and collaborations that emerged from this phenomenon, diving into the innovative structures that players developed to sustain and expand their newfound digital economy. Join us as we uncover the intricate web of support and strategy that underpinned Axie Infinity's transformative rise. Behind the vibrant battles of Axies and the clinking of digital coins, a community was quietly forming. It was 2020, and while the world grappled with the relentless waves of the COVID-19 pandemic, those who ventured into Axie Infinity found something unexpected. They found each other. In the Philippines, where the game had taken a particularly firm hold, players began to connect online. Facebook groups, Discord servers, and local chat groups became bustling hubs of activity. The pandemic had forced isolation, but in this digital world, isolation was replaced with collaboration. Stories of new friendships and alliances emerged. People like Maria Santos, a former teacher from Manila, who had been unable to work due to school closures, found solace and financial reward in the game. Maria was introduced to Axie Infinity by her cousin, who had read about it in a tech blog. Initially hesitant, she was quickly drawn in by the promise of earning. With 2 school-aged children and a husband who had also lost work, the pressure was immense. Maria's Axie journey began with a small but crucial investment, the purchase of 3 Axies, which were necessary to start playing. As NFTs, these digital creatures were more than just game characters. They were assets. The initial investment was daunting. In 2020, the cost of 3 starter Axies could range from $600 to $1,000, a substantial sum for many Filipinos. Enter the concept of scholarships. Here, players with financial capabilities, known as managers, would lend their Axies to others, called scholars, in exchange for a share of the profits. This arrangement lowered the barrier for entry, allowing more people to participate. Maria became a scholar under a manager named Leo, who lived in Cebu. Leo had been an early adopter of Axie Infinity and had accumulated a sizable collection of Axies. By February 2021, his investment had grown substantially, allowing him to support several scholars like Maria. For Leo, the game was more than just an income stream. It was a community effort. He would host weekly strategy sessions with his scholars, sharing the latest tips and tactics. It was during one of these sessions that Maria shared her story. Her voice, crackling through a spotty internet connection, conveyed both hope and resilience. She talked about how the earnings from Axie Infinity, though modest, had allowed her to buy groceries, pay utility bills, and even save a little for the future. For Maria, and many like her, Axie was not just a game, it was a lifeline. As the player base grew, so did the sense of community. In March 2021, a virtual event was organized by Axie enthusiasts, the Axie Pilipinas Summit. It was a gathering of players, managers, and even developers from the Sky Mavis team. The summit highlighted success stories, community projects, and discussed the future of the game. Sky Mavis, the developer behind Axie Infinity, played a crucial role in fostering this community spirit. Co-founder Alexander Larson often spoke of the game's potential to transform lives. He emphasized the importance of the community in driving the game's success. By the end of 2021, Axie Infinity had reported over 2 million daily active users. The scholarship model, initially born out of necessity, became a cornerstone of the Axie ecosystem. It allowed people who might have never engaged with blockchain technology to benefit from it directly. However, the model was not without its challenges. As more players joined, the market for Axies became crowded, and the price of Axies began to fluctuate significantly. Some managers struggled to sustain the same level of support as before. By mid-2021, discussions around the sustainability of Axie's economic model were common. Players began to question whether the game could continue to support such a large community. Despite these uncertainties, the community remained strong. Players like Maria were determined to adapt and learn. The game had become a part of their daily lives, woven into the fabric of their routines. It was not just about earning, it was about being part of something bigger. In August 2021, Sky Mavis launched the Community Treasury, a move designed to give players a voice in the future direction of the game. This treasury was funded by a portion of the game's revenue and was meant to support initiatives that would benefit the community. The creation of the Community Treasury was a testament to the game's commitment to its players. It allowed them to propose projects, vote on ideas, and directly influence the development of Axie Infinity. It was a revolutionary step in decentralized governance, reflecting a deep trust in the community that had formed around the game. By the end of 2021, Axie Infinity had evolved beyond a simple play-to-earn game. It was a living, breathing ecosystem, a testament to the power of collaboration and shared purpose. The Filipino community in particular, had left an indelible mark on the game's history. Their stories of triumph and resilience were shared around the world, inspiring countless others to join the ranks of Axie players. As we move forward, we will explore how the rise of non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, in early 2021 further propelled Axie Infinity into the spotlight. This digital gold rush not only attracted new players, but also drew in investors eager to capitalize on the latest technological trend. The impact on Axie's ecosystem was profound, reshaping the dynamics of the game and its community. In the next chapter, we delve into this pivotal moment in Axie Infinity's journey, exploring the rise of NFTs and their lasting implications. In the next chapter, we delve into this pivotal moment in Axie Infinity's journey, exploring the rise of NFTs and their lasting implications. During the early months of 2021, the world of digital assets was experiencing a renaissance. Non-fungible tokens, or NFTs, began to captivate the imagination of artists, collectors, and investors alike. The concept was simple, yet revolutionary. Each token was unique and could represent ownership of a digital or physical asset. This movement was not confined to art alone. Games like Axie Infinity were at the forefront of integrating NFTs into their ecosystems. Axies themselves were NFTs, each with distinct characteristics and values. As these digital creatures gained popularity, so did the game's player base. It was a time of rapid adoption, not just in the Philippines, but across the globe. By March 2021, Axie Infinity had become a beacon of opportunity. Sky Mavis, the game's developer, reported that their daily active users had surpassed 100,000. This was a staggering increase from just a few thousand at the start of the year. In the Philippines, where the economy was reeling from the pandemic, Axie Infinity offered a lifeline. Consider the story of Maria Santos, a single mother living in Manila. Prior to the pandemic, Maria worked in a local restaurant, earning about $300 a month. When COVID-19 hit, her job was one of the many that disappeared. With no savings and rent due, Maria was desperate. It was April 2021 when a friend introduced her to Axie Infinity. Initially skeptical, Maria soon realized the potential. She started playing with Axies borrowed through a scholarship, a system where owners lend their Axies to others in exchange for a portion of the earnings. Within weeks, Maria was earning more than her previous job. She could pay her bills and even save a little. This personal success was mirrored by thousands across the Philippines. For many, Axie Infinity was not just a game, it was a means of survival. According to a report by CoinDesk, by June 2021, the Philippines accounted for over 40% of Axie Infinity's player base. The game was transforming lives, one digital battle at a time. The financial implications of this surge were profound. In May 2021, Axie Infinity generated over $1.5 million in revenue, a figure that continued to rise. Investors took notice, with venture capital pouring into Sky Mavis. By mid-2021, the company had raised over $7.5 million in a funding round led by Libertas Capital. But with success came scrutiny. Analysts and critics began to question the sustainability of Axie Infinity's model. The game's economy was heavily dependent on the influx of new players. Without them, the demand for Axies would dwindle, potentially causing the market to collapse. Yet, as the summer of 2021 unfolded, optimism was still in the air. Collaborations with organizations like Yield Guild Games further fueled growth. Yield Guild invested millions to help players, particularly from low-income backgrounds, access the game. These partnerships were not only financially beneficial, but also culturally significant. The community-driven nature of Axie Infinity fostered a sense of belonging. Players shared strategies, tips, and even personal stories through platforms like Discord and Facebook. Axie Infinity was not just reshaping economic paradigms, it was creating social change. But amid this growth, the landscape of NFTs was evolving. High-profile sales, like Beeple's digital artwork auctioned for $69 million, propelled NFTs into the mainstream. Such events sparked debates about the value and future of these digital assets. Could this be a bubble poised to burst? For Axie Infinity, the stakes were high. The game's reliance on Ethereum, with its fluctuating transaction fees, posed significant challenges. Some players found the costs prohibitive, threatening the accessibility that had been a cornerstone of its success. Sky Mavis responded by developing Ronin, a custom sidechain to reduce fees and enhance user experience. The introduction of Ronin in the summer of 2021 marked a critical turning point. It reduced transaction costs and accelerated the speed of in-game transactions. This move was essential not only for player retention, but also for attracting new users. Yet, as the year progressed, the complexities of blockchain technology became more apparent. Security concerns, regulatory scrutiny, and technical hurdles loomed large. Axie Infinity's journey was entering uncharted waters where the promise of decentralization met the realities of governance and compliance. Despite these challenges, the community's spirit remained resilient. For many like Maria, the game was more than a source of income. It represented hope and a chance at a better future. The stories of empowerment resonated beyond the digital realm, reaching policymakers and media outlets worldwide. As 2021 drew to a close, Axie Infinity stood at a crossroads. The world watched as this digital phenomenon continued to unfold. Would it sustain its momentum, or would the complexities of its model lead to unforeseen consequences? In the next chapter, we explore the challenges and criticisms that Axie Infinity faced as it grappled with its burgeoning success. Uncover how these critiques tested the resilience of its community and shaped its future trajectory. The story of Axie Infinity is not without its shadows, where every bright innovation carries the weight of scrutiny and debate. As the game's popularity soared, so did the voices questioning its sustainability and ethical foundations. In 2021, amid the rapid rise of non-fungible tokens, the echoes of criticism began to reverberate through the bustling halls of digital forums and economic analyses. Many observers drew comparisons between Axie Infinity and Ponzi schemes, highlighting the inherent reliance on a continuous influx of new players to maintain its economic model. To understand these criticisms, one must delve into the mechanics of the game itself. Axie Infinity, developed by Sky Mavis in 2018, operates on a play-to-earn model where players earn tokens known as Smooth Love Potion, SLP, and Axie Infinity Shards, AXS. These tokens, once earned, can be exchanged for real-world currency, a feature that initially captivated players in economically struggling regions. However, this system is contingent on a delicate balance. New players must continually enter the game, purchasing Axies, digital creatures that are themselves NFTs, fueling the marketplace and sustaining the value of the tokens. As the COVID-19 pandemic forced countless individuals into financial distress, Axie Infinity provided a beacon of hope for many, particularly in the Philippines. The minimum wage in this Southeast Asian nation averages around $10 to $12 per day, a stark contrast to the potential earnings through the game. Some players reported making double or triple this amount, transforming the game from mere entertainment into a viable livelihood. Yet the exponential growth of the player base raised alarms about the scalability and long-term viability of this economic model. In the heart of Manila, a young player named Miguel found himself drawn into the world of Axie Infinity. At 22, with his job as a cook curtailed by the pandemic, Miguel turned to the game as a means of survival. Initially, the income was a lifeline, supporting his family when traditional employment was scarce. But as the months wore on, Miguel noticed subtle changes. The rewards seemed less bountiful, and the once vibrant marketplace felt stagnant. The influx of new players was slowing, and with it, the economic engine of Axie Infinity began to sputter. This growing unease was not unique to Miguel. Across the globe, analysts and economists scrutinized the game's reliance on perpetual growth. The term Ponzi scheme surfaced frequently, suggesting that without a steady stream of newcomers buying axes, the system could collapse under its own weight. Critics argued that the game's economic promise was inherently flawed, as only those who entered early could truly reap substantial benefits. Meanwhile, newcomers faced increasing difficulty in achieving similar financial success. The creators at Sky Mavis were not deaf to these criticisms. In response, they emphasized the community-driven aspects of the game, pointing to the collaborative efforts of players and the innovative scholarship programs that had emerged. These programs allowed experienced players to lend their axes to new players who could then earn and share profits, creating a symbiotic relationship within the community. Yet, even with these initiatives, questions about sustainability lingered, casting a shadow over the game's future. On July 15, 2021, a pivotal event occurred that would test Axie Infinity's resilience. The price of Ethereum, the blockchain upon which the game operates, experienced a significant drop. This downturn rippled through the Axie economy, causing panic among players and investors alike. The value of SLP and AXS tokens plummeted, and with it, the earnings of those who relied on the game for income. This sudden vulnerability highlighted the interconnectedness and fragility of digital economies tied to volatile cryptocurrencies. During this turbulent period, a player known as Maya shared her story on a forum dedicated to Axie Infinity. A mother of 3, Maya had embraced the game as a means to provide for her children after losing her job as a teacher. Her testimony resonated with many. The initial joy and relief of financial independence, gradually overshadowed by anxiety and insecurity as the earnings became less predictable. For Maya, the game was not just a financial tool, but a community, a space where she found solidarity and support. Yet the uncertainty of its sustainability weighed heavily on her mind. Amidst these challenges, Axie Infinity's creators and community leaders sought solutions. They explored ways to diversify the game's economy, introducing new features and partnerships to attract and retain players. Discussions of potential regulatory guidance began to surface as governments worldwide started paying closer attention to the burgeoning field of blockchain gaming. For many, this was a critical juncture, a chance to redefine the boundaries of digital economies and address the ethical concerns that had surfaced. By the close of 2021, the landscape of Axie Infinity had shifted dramatically. The game, once heralded as a revolutionary economic equalizer, faced an uncertain future. Its journey from a niche digital pastime to a global economic experiment was fraught with lessons and challenges. For players like Miguel and Maya, the experience was a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between innovation and sustainability, hope and vulnerability. As we move forward, questions loom large. How can blockchain gaming evolve to ensure fairness and stability for all participants? What role will regulation play in shaping the future of this digital frontier? And perhaps most importantly, can the lessons learned from Axie Infinity serve as a blueprint for a more inclusive and equitable virtual economy? The crack had formed, but it did not spell the end. Rather, it heralded a new chapter, one filled with potential for growth and transformation. In the next chapter, we will explore the peak of Axie Infinity's popularity and the ambitious expansion efforts that sought to secure its place in the digital landscape. These efforts, spearheaded by the likes of Yield Guild Games, aim to not only sustain the game's growth, but to redefine the very essence of play to earn in the burgeoning world of blockchain technology. These efforts, spearheaded by the likes of Yield Guild Games, aim to not only sustain the game's growth, but to redefine the very essence of play to earn in the burgeoning world of blockchain technology. Yield Guild Games, founded by Gabby Dyson in 2020, became a pivotal player in this landscape. By providing scholarships to individuals who couldn't afford the initial investment of purchasing Axes, they opened the door to a new demographic. This concept of digital scholarships was revolutionary, allowing thousands to participate without upfront costs. In the summer of 2021, Axie Infinity reached a crescendo. Players were earning more than double the national minimum wage in the Philippines, sometimes making $20 to $30 a day. This phenomenon was not just a game, but a vital income stream for many, particularly during the economic uncertainty brought on by COVID-19. The game's ecosystem was thriving, fueled by a global community of players, investors, and enthusiasts. However, this meteoric rise was not without its challenges. As the number of players surged, so did the scrutiny. Critics likened the game to a Ponzi scheme, suggesting that its economic model was unsustainable. Axie Infinity relied heavily on the constant influx of new players to maintain its value, a characteristic that often spells trouble in financial systems. Despite these concerns, the community remained optimistic. The game's developers at Sky Mavis took significant steps to ensure the system's longevity. They introduced updates and features intended to stabilize the game's economy and retain player interest. But the rapid expansion brought with it scalability issues. The Ethereum blockchain, which hosted Axie Infinity, was increasingly congested. Transaction fees, known as gas fees, soared, making the game less accessible to new players. This bottleneck highlighted a critical flaw in the system. It was increasingly difficult for the average player to participate without incurring substantial costs. In response, Sky Mavis embarked on an ambitious project. They developed their own blockchain, Ronin, designed to circumvent Ethereum's congestion and high fees. Launched in 2021, Ronin allowed for faster, cheaper transactions, a necessary evolution to keep the game viable. This development marked a turning point, providing a glimpse into blockchain gaming's potential future. But as 2021 drew to a close, the waves of change grew tumultuous. The cryptocurrency market, notorious for its volatility, began to waver. The value of Smooth Love Potion SLP, one of the game's key tokens, fluctuated wildly. This instability posed a significant threat to the sustainability of play-to-earn as a reliable income source. By early 2022, it became clear that Axie Infinity had reached its peak. The market saturation was palpable. Nearly everyone who wanted to play was already engaged. New player growth, which had once been the lifeblood of the game's economy, slowed to a trickle. The game's community, once vibrant and hopeful, now faced uncertainty. During this period, many players began to withdraw their earnings, causing further strain on the token's value. For individuals like Maria Santos, a 29-year-old mother of two from Manila, the decline was palpable. She had relied on her Axie earnings to support her family during the pandemic. As SLP's value dropped, so did her financial security. In April 2022, a catastrophic event would further destabilize the fragile ecosystem. Sky Mavis announced a significant security breach, one of the largest in cryptocurrency history. Hackers exploited the Ronin blockchain, stealing over $600 million in assets. This breach not only shook the confidence of Axie players, but also the broader cryptocurrency community. The impact was immediate and profound. Trust, a cornerstone of any financial system, was shattered. Sky Mavis worked tirelessly to recover the stolen funds and restore user balances, but the damage was done. Confidence in the system had been severely undermined, casting a long shadow over the future of Axie Infinity. In the aftermath, the game's developers pledged to enhance security measures and rebuild trust within the community. They implemented rigorous audits and partnered with blockchain security firms to prevent future breaches. These measures were crucial, but the road to recovery was steep and fraught with challenges. Amidst this turmoil, the human stories at the heart of Axie Infinity came to the fore. For many, the game had been more than just a source of income. It was a community, a lifeline, and a beacon of hope during dark times. Yet, as the economic reality shifted, players like Maria faced difficult decisions about their future. Sky Mavis, meanwhile, was forced to confront the limitations of its economic model. The reliance on a continuous influx of new players proved unsustainable. The company's leadership, including co-founder Trung Nguyen, began exploring alternative revenue streams and gameplay enhancements to diversify and stabilize the platform. As Axie Infinity grappled with these challenges, the broader blockchain gaming industry watched closely. The game's rise and subsequent struggles served as a cautionary tale. It highlighted both the possibilities and pitfalls of play-to-earn models in a volatile economic landscape. Gabby Deason and Yield Guild Games continued to support players, investing in new opportunities and games that promised more stable economic models. The lessons learned from Axie Infinity were invaluable, shaping the future direction of blockchain gaming and digital economies at large. Sky Mavis's journey was marked by innovation, triumph, and adversity. As the dust began to settle, the company remained committed to refining its model and exploring the untapped potential of blockchain technology. The story of Axie Infinity was far from over. It was evolving, adapting to a new reality. Amid all this, one question lingered. What would the next chapter hold for Axie Infinity and the world of blockchain gaming? This was a narrative still unfolding, with twists yet to come. As we move forward, we continue to explore the lessons learned and the paths untaken. In our next chapter, we delve deeper into the economic disruptions that challenged Axie Infinity's stability and the implications for the future. In our next chapter, we delve deeper into the economic disruptions that challenged Axie Infinity's stability and the implications for the future. Axie Infinity, a revolutionary game developed by Sky Mavis in 2018, faced its share of economic turbulence. As the game surged in popularity throughout 2020, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, it became a financial lifeline for many players in the Philippines. The game's model, which allowed players to earn tokens called Smooth Love Potion, SLP, and Axie Infinity Shards, AXS, translated into real-world income, rivaling or even exceeding the local minimum wage of approximately $10 to $12 per day. However, with rapid success came unforeseen challenges. By mid-2021, issues such as scalability and market saturation began to ripple through the ecosystem. The game that had promised stability and growth started to reveal cracks in its economic foundation. Players who had invested time and resources began to notice diminishing returns as the influx of new players slowed. The game's reliance on a continuous stream of newcomers to sustain its economic model was put to the test. Market saturation was one of the first major signs of trouble. As more players entered the game, the supply of in-game assets like Axies increased dramatically. This surge led to a devaluation of these digital assets, causing concern among both new and seasoned players. The once thriving digital marketplace began to falter under the weight of its own success. The economic model, which had seemed so promising, now struggled to balance supply and demand. In the backdrop of these challenges, Yield Guild Games, an organization that had invested millions of dollars into funding NFTs for the game, watched keenly. Founded by Gabby Deason, Yield Guild Games had pioneered the scholarship model that allowed gamers without capital to play and earn by borrowing assets. Yet, even with this innovative approach, the guilds and players alike felt the tremors of an uncertain future. For individuals like Juan, a player who had supported his family with earnings from Axie, the economic disruptions were more than just numbers on a screen. They were real-life challenges that threatened his ability to provide. When the game's ecosystem started to destabilize, Juan found himself in a precarious position. forced to seek alternative sources of income as the viability of play-to-earn diminished. The game's creators at Sky Mavis, including co-founder Trung Nguyen, were not blind to these issues. They recognized the need for adaptation and resilience in the face of economic strain. Sky Mavis made attempts to address scalability issues by planning technological upgrades and diversifying the game's features to retain player interest and attract new participants. Despite these efforts, the narrative around Axie Infinity began to shift. Critics, who had previously likened the game's structure to a Ponzi scheme, became more vocal. Their concerns centered on the sustainability of an economic model heavily dependent on new player influx to maintain its momentum. The scrutiny intensified as the game's financial ecosystem appeared increasingly fragile. In late 2021, Axie Infinity's leadership team made strategic decisions to counteract these pressures. They introduced new gameplay elements and adjusted the tokenomics to stabilize the in-game economy. These changes aim to foster a more balanced environment for both new and existing players. However, the road to recovery was not straightforward. Players remained skeptical, and trust in the game's long-term viability had been shaken. Conversations in online forums and community groups reflected a mix of hope and apprehension. Many players expressed their concerns openly, sharing personal stories of triumph and struggle. They spoke of the opportunities the game had afforded them and the uncertain future they now faced. For some, Axie Infinity was more than a game. It was a symbol of possibility during a time of global economic hardship. As 2022 unfolded, the broader blockchain gaming industry took notice of Axie Infinity's trials. Industry observers and analysts began to draw lessons from the game's volatile journey. They discussed the importance of sustainable economic models in blockchain gaming and the need for innovations that could withstand market fluctuations. Sky Mavis, aware of its role as a pioneer in this space, remained committed to learning from its experiences. The leadership team doubled down on efforts to enhance the game's infrastructure and player experience. They engaged with the community more actively, seeking feedback and fostering transparency to rebuild trust. Meanwhile, through these challenges, the ethos of play-to-earn persisted, albeit with tempered expectations. The global community watching Axie Infinity's evolution understood that its story was emblematic of the broader promise and perils of blockchain-based economies. In the broader context of gaming and digital finance, Axie Infinity's journey provided a case study in resilience and adaptation. Arla Vos, a key figure in this unfolding aftermath, processed the information with practiced diligence. She worked alongside her colleagues in the high-tech crime unit, examining transaction logs, messages, and user data. Each line of code, each encrypted message, held potential leads. It was a slow, painstaking process, promising progress in the relentless battle against cybercrime. The operation had started in May 2017 when Dutch authorities seized control of Hansa's servers located in Germany and Lithuania. Under Inspector Jan van der Meer's leadership, the team executed a plan that was as daring as it was methodical. They transformed the marketplace into a trap, monitoring illegal transactions and gathering intelligence on buyers and sellers. This meticulous approach allowed them to create a comprehensive database of individuals engaged in illicit activities. The scale of the operation was vast. By the time Hansa was shut down in July, the team had collected information on thousands of users. These efforts led to a series of arrests, not just in the Netherlands, but across Europe and beyond. The operation showcased the power of international cooperation in the digital age. The data gathered was shared with law enforcement agencies worldwide, extending the operation's impact beyond Dutch borders. Following Hansa's closure, the digital landscape shifted dramatically. Darknet users found themselves disoriented. Their trusted platforms suddenly vanished. The closure of AlphaBay had already sent ripples through the community. The shutdown of Hansa intensified the effect, leaving many scrambling for alternatives. For law enforcement, this was both a victory and a new challenge. While the immediate threat had been contained, the issues of anonymity and encryption remained. October 2017 marked a pivotal moment in cybercrime investigation. The operation's success proved that with determination and the right strategy, even the most elusive networks could be infiltrated. Yet, it also highlighted the evolving nature of digital crime. The Darknet was merely a symptom of broader technological trends, ones that offered both opportunity and peril. Inspector Jan van der Meer understood this well. As he reviewed the operation's outcomes, he was acutely aware of the journey ahead. The Darknet was not static. It adapted in response to law enforcement actions, with new marketplaces emerging to fill the void left by Hansa's closure. The battle was ongoing, and victory in one skirmish was not the end of the war. The team needed to remain vigilant, adjusting their techniques to keep pace with the shifting landscape. In meetings with Europol and other international partners, the Dutch team shared insights and strategies. They discussed the importance of continued collaboration and the need for updated legal frameworks to tackle the challenges of digital crime. The knowledge gained from the Hansa operation was invaluable, providing a blueprint for future investigations. Yet, they knew that criminal elements were equally adept at adapting and evolving. For those involved in the operation, the experience was transformative. Arla Voss, in particular, felt a renewed sense of purpose. The months of undercover work, late nights, and endless analyses had not been in vain. The operation made tangible impacts, disrupting criminal activities and strengthening international ties. Yet, the work also exacted a personal toll, a reminder of the stakes involved in this line of work. As October drew to a close, the mood within the high-tech crime unit was one of cautious optimism. They had achieved a significant victory, but remained acutely aware of the challenges that lay ahead. The digital world was vast and complex, and the forces they faced were cunning and adaptable. Armed with the lessons of the past months, they were better prepared to face whatever came next. In 2017, the operation against Hansa set a precedent. It demonstrated the potential of strategic patience, international cooperation, and technological prowess in the fight against cybercrime. It also highlighted the necessity of constant innovation and vigilance. As the digital landscape continued to evolve, so too would their approaches and strategies. The team concluded the month by reviewing their successes and the lessons learned. Each member contributed insights from their experience, creating a shared repository of knowledge. These discussions were more than procedural. They were a means of refining their craft, ensuring they remained at the forefront of cybercrime investigation. For the Dutch National Police, the operation's legacy would be enduring. The techniques developed and refined during the Hansa investigation would inform their approach for years to come. The impact of their work extended beyond arrests and disruptions. It fostered a greater understanding of the digital underworld and its implications. As the story of the Hansa operation reached its conclusion, the world of cybersecurity remained a dynamic and unpredictable arena. The lessons learned in 2017 would guide future endeavors as law enforcement agencies across the globe continued their unyielding pursuit of justice in the digital age. In the quiet moments of reflection, as October 2017 faded into history, the investigators found solace in their achievements. They had demonstrated the power of unity and resolve in the face of daunting challenges. Yet they remained ever watchful, ready to confront the next threat. In the shadowy realms of the internet, there was always more work to be done, new horizons to explore, and new battles to fight. The legacy of their efforts would endure, a beacon of hope and a testament to the enduring human spirit in the relentless pursuit of justice. In the weeks following October 2017, The corridors of Dutch National Police headquarters buzzed with an air of quiet reflection and cautious optimism. The Hansa operation had officially drawn to a close, but its reverberations continued to shape the future of cybercrime enforcement. It was a moment in time when the complexities of digital law enforcement seemed less insurmountable, and the promise of progress held tangible form. Inspector Jan van der Meer, a key figure in the operation, found himself at the center of this transformation. On a brisk morning in early November, he stood by his office window, absorbing the bustling scenes below. The world outside continued its relentless pace, oblivious to the quiet revolution that had just unfolded within the sphere of cybercrime. The sense of accomplishment was palpable, yet tempered by the recognition of the challenges that lay ahead. Van der Meer knew that the takedown of Hansa was not an end, but a beginning. As reports filtered in from various agencies, the true magnitude of their success was gradually unveiled. Over 50,000 listings had been removed from the marketplace, and significant intelligence had been gathered on users and vendors alike. It marked a substantial blow to the illicit underworld operating beneath the guise of anonymity. The agents involved in Hansa's dismantling were soon gathering accolades and commendations from international partners. During a meeting held in late November at Europol's headquarters in The Hague, representatives from various countries came together to discuss the operation's outcomes. The room was filled with a sense of camaraderie, as each participant understood the pivotal role they had played in this global endeavor. Among the achievements celebrated was the unprecedented level of cooperation that had been achieved during the operation. Agencies from Germany, the United States, and Europol had provided critical support, each contributing unique expertise to the mission. This collaboration was a testament to what could be accomplished when geographic and political boundaries were set aside in pursuit of a common goal. Back in Amsterdam, Arlevos reflected on the personal cost of their shared victory. Many late nights spent poring over screens, deciphering coded messages, and tracking elusive digital footprints had taken their toll. Yet the knowledge that her efforts had contributed to dismantling a major criminal enterprise provided solace. It was a reminder of the tangible difference their work could make in curtailing online crime. As December approached, the ramifications of Hansa's closure began to manifest in unexpected ways. Users of Darknet marketplaces, once shielded by anonymity, found themselves exposed and vulnerable. Arrests were made across several countries, each one a reminder that the internet was not beyond the reach of the law. This had a chilling effect on other illicit platforms, prompting them to reconsider their operational security measures. The records obtained from Hansa's servers offered a treasure trove of information, providing insights into the infrastructure of Darknet markets. Analysts discovered patterns and connections that had previously eluded them, revealing a sprawling network of illicit activity that transcended borders. These revelations would serve as the foundation for future investigations, guiding efforts to dismantle other criminal enterprises. In early December, Van der Meer attended a symposium on cybercrime held in Brussels. It was an opportunity to share the lessons learned from the Hansa operation and to explore new strategies for combating digital crime. Presentations were made, detailing the operation's success and the methodologies that had proven effective in penetrating the Darknet. The event underscored the importance of continuous learning and adaptation in the face of evolving threats. The symposium also highlighted the need for robust legal frameworks to support international cybercrime investigations. Discussions centered on the challenges of jurisdiction, data privacy, and the balance between security and civil liberties. These were pressing issues that demanded attention, as the digital realm continued to outpace traditional legal paradigms. As the year drew to a close, reflections on the past months were tinged with a sense of anticipation for the coming year. The successes of 2017 had laid the groundwork for a new era in cybercrime enforcement. Law enforcement agencies were better equipped and more connected than ever before, ready to face the challenges that 2018 and beyond would bring. In the halls of the Dutch National Police, conversations turned toward the future. Plans were drafted for ongoing operations, aimed at building upon the momentum generated by Hansa's takedown. Agents prepared for the next phase, armed with the knowledge that their work was part of a larger, global effort to secure the digital landscape. Arla Vos, back at her desk, considered the evolving nature of her role. The lines between technology and law enforcement were blurring, requiring a new set of skills and an adaptable mindset. Her experiences over the past year had reinforced the necessity of staying ahead of the curve, continually expanding her expertise to meet the demands of a rapidly changing world. For Jan van der Meer, the Hansa operation was a reminder of the power of perseverance and ingenuity. The challenges they faced were formidable, but through determination and collaboration, they had achieved what seemed impossible. It was a testament to the unyielding spirit of those committed to justice, even in the most daunting circumstances. As the final days of 2017 slipped away, the legacy of the Hansa operation was clear. It had set new standards for international cooperation and innovation in the fight against cybercrime. The lessons learned, the connections forged, and the impact achieved would resonate well into the future, guiding efforts to protect the digital domain from those who sought to exploit it. With renewed determination, the agents who had participated in the operation prepared to embark on new missions. They carried with them the knowledge that they were part of a larger narrative, one that extended beyond the confines of any single operation. Their work was ongoing, a continual pursuit of justice in an ever-expanding digital world. As the clock ticked toward midnight on December 31st, marking the end of a momentous year, the resolve of these individuals remained unshaken. They were ready to confront whatever lay ahead, driven by the enduring commitment to safeguard a world where technology and humanity intersect in complex and profound ways. The Hansa operation was but one chapter in the unfolding story of digital law enforcement, a story that was far from over. It was a story of resilience, of courage, of the relentless pursuit of a safer future. And as the new year dawned, that story continued to unfold, guided by the lessons of the past and the promise of what was yet to come. On an October morning in 2017, the halls of the Dutch National Police headquarters echoed with quiet resolve. The air was cool, mingling the scent of freshly brewed coffee with the hum of computers. The echoes of their operation reverberated through these halls, a landmark in digital policing history. Inspector Jan van der Meer sat at his desk, sorting through months of meticulously gathered data. Each file, each digital trace, marked the complex web his team had untangled. Over 10,000 user addresses emerged, each a hidden life beneath layers of encryption. These figures transcended mere numbers. They were stories waiting to unfold, narratives of individuals who once believed in their digital sanctuary's invincibility. Picture the daily exchanges within Hansa's virtual marketplace. Users found a haven, a place that promised security and anonymity. Login screens, seamless transactions, symbols of a trust unknowingly misplaced. Each transaction was a thread in a broader web, overseen by vigilant eyes. The story intertwines trust and oversight, presenting a delicate balance between privacy and protection. Hansa's usernames like the Fixer or Canna King offered anonymity, yet concealed vulnerabilities and desires. These digital personas, though faceless, revealed the real people they hid, lives entangled with the network they trusted. In a world of usernames and passwords, the operation highlighted the fragility of trust. The story transcends a mere law enforcement triumph. It mirrors technology's dual nature, its power to connect and to betray. Tools crafted for privacy became instruments of exposure under the adept hands of justice. It's not just about technological prowess, but about human tendencies, our inclination to trust the familiar, finding security in routine, even as the ground shifts beneath us. Officers worked tirelessly in the dim glow of computer screens, driven by a quiet determination. Each file was a puzzle piece, a glimpse into a world they were beginning to comprehend. They understood their work extended beyond the courtroom. It impacted lives and communities worldwide. The journey continued, guided by lessons learned and an understanding that online vigilance is perpetual. The Hansa operation underscored collaboration's importance, the power of collective human effort against global challenges. It reminded them that in a digital age, the human element, our choices, our connections, remains central. As Jan van der Meer and his team reflected on their achievements, new challenges loomed, yet they faced them with experience-bred confidence. Picture the corridors of Dutch National Police headquarters at dusk. The day's activity recedes into a tranquil hush. The soft patter of footsteps fades, leaving only the machinery's quiet hum as a sentinel. In this stillness, amid the lingering scent of coffee and the quiet determination of those who remain, a new chapter waits to unfold. Allow this moment to carry you into rest, where past stories gently whisper you to sleep.